But we have assembled a potent group of hosts to fill in for me, beginning with Tiffany Haddish, Coleman Domingo, Ike Barinholtz, Anthony Anderson, Jelly Roll, and as a special treat for our commander-in-chief, I asked one of his all-time favorites, Rosie O'Donnell, to be here to keep the hits coming. So, you're welcome. And all I ask in return, Mr. President, is that you don't do anything stupid while I'm gone, okay?
He's a genius, a comedic genius.
I don't get it. You know, one of the other comedic geniuses, Carlos Mancia, was unexpectedly woken up this morning by DA Nathan Hockman. Carlos Mancia famously, if you remember, the feud with Joe Rogan, a real comic. Joe Rogan.
Our next story coming up.
Okay, go ahead. Well, I have telepathic powers.
No. Keep going with your story, but Rogan is part of the next story, so it's just weird.
No, Rogan, Carlos Mancia is a hack comic, has been around for about 20 years, and he famously, and he's not alone, a famous joke stealer among comics, and really just brazen joke stealer. At one point, he was confronted by Joe Rogan a couple of years back for stealing jokes, and it almost got physical. Well, yesterday it did get physical because District Attorney Nathan Hockman has created a brand new tax fraud investigative division, and they went out to Encino with guns and took down Carlos Mancia early in the morning for tax evasion, setting up fraudulent companies, and not paying taxes on $8.75 million in revenue that he's taken in as a comic in the past couple of years. He received 78 notices from the government to pay his taxes, and Mencia was ridiculed by Hockman, saying, you know, this is how we got Al Capone. I could get this stand-up comic. And he made light of it in a very, very positive way, Nathan Hockman. But Mencia is looking at 10 years in state prison, and a fairly famous stand-up Mexican-American comic is seeing his day in jail at this point, putting the fear of God into Hollywood celebrity elites that Hockman says he's coming for next.
By the way, I don't know if you already know this, but I have to point it out. His prison record will read, I believe, Ned Arnell Holness, because Carlos Mancia is actually Ned. That is his birth name. He's out of he's a Honduran American comedian, and he changed his name over to sound more Latin. So he not only steals jokes, but he likes to steal a nationality. And that incident you're talking about, Joe Rogan, I think is around 2008 to 2010.
Yeah. It was a while.
And it was a bigger deal than a lot of people realize, because Joe Rogan got banned from the Comedy Store.
That's right.
Not Carlos Mancia.
That's right.
Rogan is the one who suffered.
The white guy took the fall for the phony Mexican.
Exactly. Mitzi Shore banished him from that, and I think she let him back in not long before she died, but he was banned, I want to say, for like 10 years or more. Obviously, after she passed, you know, she was happy to have him in there, but then he left California. Yeah. But that leads into the next story I had, and it's just a weird coincidence. Jay Leno was being interviewed, and he was talking about how Joe Rogan is the new Johnny Carson, as he reflects on what was changed in late night television. And here's a little clip of that.
Oh, good. That's great.
When you see the guys working today, do you miss it? Do you think, glad I'm not doing it now?
You know, people always say, oh, and I bet you missed it with Trump being No, not really. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, you know. You kind of do it. You know, it's like I used to say, the punchline of the joke would be like, that's like the president with a stripper. Okay, now the president is with strippers. I mean, you can't, we live in a society where you can't, there's nothing you can say that's so outrageous. Because a comedy comes from a place of conservatism. You start with a sort of moral high ground.
No, he's right about that. I mean, he's conservative himself.
Yeah, he just won't, you know, obviously won't promote that. And what was it? Somebody in there, people are saying, you can't replace Johnny Carson. Nobody's replacing him. They're following him. There is no Johnny Carson. He died. It's kind of like
replacing him. What are you talking?
He's dead. Can't replace him. And before that, he was retired. So they're talking about the place in society.
Right.
And I do agree that Joe Rogan is.
I agree too. He's taken that that space, and whether you like him or not, it doesn't really matter. I mean, but he owns that space.
Yes, and if
has anybody said what a great interview Jimmy Kimmel did last week of Maria Conchita Alonso? I mean, or anything. You know what I'm saying? He does these monologues, and they promote him on TikTok, as Eric has pointed out repeatedly, to get views.
Sure.
When was the last time any one of these cats broke news with an interview of a real human?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And now, ironically, I will flip it and say that Joe Rogan's not the best comic in the world. I've never found him.
He's a B-level comic.
Yeah, he is.
But maybe that's why he's doing. Maybe that's why he's doing this.
Well, he found his place. He is a phenomenal interviewer. Created a whole new format.
Yep.
Nobody was doing 3 hours. As a matter of fact, when Joe Rogan came into prominence, because I'm a podcast guy from way back, everybody's talking about 20 minutes to 40 minutes. You're really doing an hour's just getting too long. So he went the other way and went 3 hours every interview, and opened a whole new genre in that way, the long form interview. So kudos. You know, he's very good. But anyway.
Well, we'll see what happens with Carlos Mancia, but I got a feeling a lot of accountants' phones were ringing off the hook today in Beverly Hills.
I'm very, very sure, but it's sad because I guess he's probably doing fine, but he's one of those that I kind of forgot about the guy. I mean, he is really famous.
Well, you're taking in $8.75 million in stand-up. He's doing more than fine. I mean, that's the top 1%.
See, again,
I mean, these numbers are off the charts. I mean, people don't understand how lucrative this market is for the top 5% in the market. That's why so many people try to do it, mostly to no avail. But
sure.
That's the bait. People know what other people make per year, you know, doing stand-up. There are ways to find that out. And also paying for an act. I mean, you could buy an act, and I know this sounds crazy. You may pay $1 million for an act. People retire their acts. People sell their acts. People hire, I think it was Foxworthy or the other redneck comic, I forget his name, who was selling out stadiums. Bigger than, he famously traveled with 10 writers that he had on the annual payroll. I mean, you want to talk about a rock star lifestyle. He's traveling with private planes and everything for the writers and stuff. I mean, there's huge money to be made here.
Well, and
unfortunately, I haven't made it, but nevertheless.
Well, you bring it up, and I do know that there's comedians out there who are huge, and a lot of people might not know them, like Russell Peters.
Right. I don't know any of these guys.
He's one of the biggest comedians in the world.
Right.
And massive. So yeah, you're right. And then Jay Leno, famously, to circle back, while he was doing the Tonight Show, he would fly out like every Friday, sometimes Saturday.
He would drive down to Hermosa Beach, more importantly, where at the Magic Club was usually where he worked in Hermosa Beach.
Well, he would go out and do corporate gigs, get $50,000 or more for a day's work, fly back on his own jet. With no problem, and he never cashed in any of his Tonight Show money. All of his money was earned on stand-up, and he just kept banking Tonight Show cash.
Well, I didn't know any of those names Jimmy Kimmel mentioned, other than the last one, Rosie O'Donnell. But I don't know any of those people in the comedy world. Whoever those people were, I'm sure they're big now in that space.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, comedy, I feel like is as big as it's ever been.
Right, but I'm saying he's talking about going on vacation. When Johnny went on vacation, he would get George Carlin, he would get Joan Rivers, he would get these people that the entire nation knew who they were. I don't know who the fuck these people are that he's talking about, and that might be intentional on the part of the Jimmy Kimmel people who don't want him to be replaced. That was always a fear on the Tonight Show and led to the feud between Joan and Johnny, and I mean, there's all and the late night wars. 20 years later, with Letterman and Leno. I mean, there's a lot of jealousy. If you went on Letterman, you couldn't go on Leno. I mean, there's a reason for all that stuff.
Well, it's kind of like the Fox News hosts. I did not know that they had a similar showdown between Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity, from what I understand. So it's like if somebody was on O'Reilly, they were banned from Hannity and vice versa.
Well, not only that, I mean, I remember Dr. Drew telling me he was banned from CNN because he went on Fox News as guests. I mean, this had nothing to do with the host. CNN famously or infamously told guests, if you go on Fox, you're not coming back here. He thought they were kidding. They were not kidding.